Hey everybody, welcome back to Parenting on the Ranch. Today we're going to be talking about how to bounce back from a life setback, so stick around. We are a family of 5 living on a ranch in Texas.
On our channel, we will cover a variety of topics. These are solely based on our experience and opinions, and we do not hold any degrees in childhood development or education.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Parenting on the Ranch. My name is Curtis. Today, like I said, we're going to be talking about how to bounce back from a life setback. But before we get into that, please make sure you click on the subscribe button down in the bottom right hand corner, as well as the bell icon, so you don't miss any of our videos. We do a topical video on Fridays and a kind of a mosh podge of different videos on Tuesday, with the occasional one thrown in here and there. All right, so what exactly is a life setback? Well, there's several things, but let's talk about some major ones. So first and foremost, I would say probably a hospitalization or the death of a spouse or a loved one. Now, about a year and a half ago or so, actually it was Thanksgiving of 2018, I had a abscessed tooth, and it got bad. I mean, I had like a big old bulge in the side of my face. And I came home from work on Thanksgiving Day, and my wife's like, we're going to the hospital. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to the hospital. Well, she ended up basically grabbing me by the ear and dragging me kicking and screaming the entire way. But I did, and they did the scans and the tests and all that. And they're like, well, we can't do anything for you here because it's gone down into your throat, the infection had, and you have to go to a specialist. So the only specialist that was on call, being that this was Thanksgiving Day, and by now was like 11 o'clock at night, was up in North Dallas. Now, before we go any further, let me just say that my wife is not a city traffic driver. She does not like doing it at all. When we first got married, she definitely wouldn't do it, but since then she's actually done very well, and I've been very proud of her. And during this hospitalization, she actually drove back and forth to Dallas, or to the hospital in North Dallas where I was at, like 3 or 4 times, and she did really good. So I was really proud of her, and still really am really proud of her. But anyways, I ended up spending the weekend in the hospital and had surgery on Sunday morning, and ended up coming home on Monday night. Now, while this is going on, and you may be thinking, okay, so you went to the hospital, so what's the big deal? Well, here's the thing. This was the first time that I hadn't been home after going to work. I went to work Thanksgiving morning. I left the house at 5 a.m. I came home. We put the kids to bed, and we left for the hospital. And I didn't come back again until Monday. So this was the first time that I had left and not came back in the same day, or at the very least the next morning. And it was kind of hard on my kids. And then on top of that, it was the first time really that Jess had spent the night away. And she actually spent a couple nights away. So we had her parents stay over here with the kids, and they watched them. So it was a very traumatic experience. But we made it through it, and we bounced back from it. So next thing I would say is when your priorities change. Now, the priorities could be, pretty much anything. It can be things that you change in your daily routine, things that seem important to you now may change into something else. Maybe you have a unexpected bill that comes in. Your priorities are going to change. Maybe you have something break down. Your priorities are going to change. So having this major change is going to have a major effect on your family, on your schedule, on your routines, on your finances, and all that. the loss or change of a job, or even the change of your schedule. If you have a steady income or a steady schedule at work, and all of a sudden that changes, whether you lose a job, whether you quit a job, and you start a new one, you change the schedule at work like we do. We have a shift bid every 6 months, and there's a potential that I may switch shifts. Thankfully, I'm high enough up in the seniority rankings where I don't really have to worry about it too much, but there is still that possibility. I know there's some people out there that change shifts quite often, and they have to change their entire routines and change their entire family dynamic. Whenever you change jobs, you have a loss of income because you have the job that you're leaving, and then you have to start up a new job and get a new income, and that's typically a month or so between the time that you quit your job and get your first paycheck at your new job. So it will affect your income, it'll affect your spending habits, it'll affect what goes on in your house. Now, going along with that, let's say you get a raise at your job, or you get a promotion at your work. Again, your life will change because your income is going to be different. Granted, most times it's going to be better, but there's still going to be a change. And along with the promotion typically comes a change in schedule as well. Maybe you're going to be working longer hours. Maybe you're going to be working different hours. All this affects your home life. All this affects your financial life. All of it affects your family. So just a minor change can make a drastic imprint on your family. Recently, I had applied for a job that was more income, but the trade-off for that more income, because of the shift that this new place had, it would have made it where instead of seeing my kids quite often, I mean, right now I'm off every other weekend and 2 or 3 days a week, it would have made it where I would be off 2 days a week, and that would be it, working 5 days a week and potentially working a midnight shift. So potentially I could see my kids for a couple hours 2 days a week, and that would be it. So that would have had a major impact, especially on my life and my relationship with my kids and my wife. So that could have been potentially dangerous for my relationship with them and my relationship with my wife. So it really wasn't worth the change in my career path. Let's say your kids get sick or your spouse gets sick. That change in that daily routine that you have, because somebody's sick, you're going to have doctor visits. You're going to have, basically waiting on them hand and foot, or making sure they take their medicine on time, not sleeping as well. Maybe your kids will be up and down throughout the night, washing clothes because they got sick on them. All this is going to change a major impact in your life routine. Holidays can be a very exciting time, but it can also be a very stressful time. Things like President's Day or Martin Luther King Day, or something like that, not so much. But when you're talking about things like 4th of July, Christmas, Thanksgiving, something that is a major difference in your life's routine will also affect your life and the life of your kids. Things will happen differently. You'll have more responsibilities during that time to cook the food. Maybe you're the host and you're going to have all these people over at your house. So you're going to have to make sure that your house is clean and that all the food is prepped on time, and then the cleanup afterwards. It's going to be a major change in your routine to get yourself ready. And then last but not least on the major ones, maybe you have an unexpected bill. Now we have that quite here, I'm not going to say quite regularly, but we have it quite a bit here on the ranch. Maybe your tractor breaks down, or a vehicle breaks down, or a pipe burst, or somebody drives through your fence, or a cow gets out and gets hit on the road. There's all these things could make a drastic change in your life, financially especially. If you have, recently, the check engine light came on my wife's car, and it ended up being where it would have cost about $150 to get this one little sensor fixed. And that was money that we weren't planning on spending, but it needed to be done, and it should have been done. Thankfully, the light went out and everything is working, so we really didn't have to fork out that $150, but it very well could be. And it still could happen in the future, but we're going to hope not. So, now that we've kind of talked about what these things are, how does it affect your life? We've kind of touched on it briefly here, financially, changing your routine, but what exactly does it do? Okay, so, you have people over, you have to take extra time to clean. You have a sick kid, or a sick spouse, or a hospital, you get hospitalized or something like that. Well, things are going to go by the wayside in your house because your priorities change. Your priorities are more focused on your kids or your spouse or whoever. So things like laundry are going to go by the wayside. Things like dishes may go by the wayside. Cleaning your house like you potentially do all the time are going to go by the wayside. So not only is your life going to be changing while whatever this setback is, but it's also going to affect it afterwards, because then you're going to have to play catch up. So all these little things can turn into major things. So how do you bounce back from something like that? So first off, make a to-do list. Figure out what all you need to do, write it down, and write everything down. Be as detailed as possible. That way, when you get that one item done, you can check it off and you'll get a sense of accomplishment. Make sure that you put down, if you're cleaning the bed sheets, don't just put wash all the bed sheets. No, put wash my bed sheets, wash my kids' bed sheets, wash whoever's bed sheets. Be specific. And then when you do it, mark it off the list, and you'll feel better about yourself. It will help relieve some of the stress because you've gotten something done off of your to-do list. And this also, getting that thing marked off your list can help motivate you to do more. Oftentimes we get where we have so much to do and there's not enough time to do it. And my wife says that constantly, there's not enough time in the day to do everything, which is very true. Oftentimes we're so busy that we don't get everything done. But if you make this to-do list and do it as detailed as you can, as specific as you can, then when you mark those off, you get the sense of accomplishment, and it motivates you to move on to the next item and get more of them done. One of the things that often I find to be a very stressful or time-consuming thing is meal prep. First off, you have to decide what you're going to have. Then you have to figure out if you have the food for it. And if you don't, you have to go to the grocery store and buy it. And then you have to come home and fix it. And then you got to clean up after your mess. And then hopefully you're full and you go to bed, right? So rather than doing that for every meal, standing with the refrigerator open and saying, what am I going to eat? Or standing in the pantry and saying, what am I going to fix my kids? Yay! Make a menu. Do it weekly or bi-weekly or even monthly. Figure out stuff to make, write it down, and then when you go grocery shopping, you can buy everything for the entire week, and you know exactly what you need to buy. You have it on hand, and then you can go and just make your food. This helps a lot with us. We do it on a weekly schedule now. We'll make a weekly menu, and then if something happens and my wife has to go do something, or she needs to do something in her office or whatever, and I'm home, I can go to the menu and say, okay, we're having spaghetti today, and go and make it. Or if we're having something more elaborate and she's just running late, I can go ahead and start it. And she can finish it, because I really don't do the more elaborate stuff very much. She's the head cook in this thing. I'm just the sous chef. But figuring out, what you're going to cook throughout the week really helps. It takes the stress off of figuring out what you're going to do daily, and it saves you money in the long run. And two, with making a menu, you can potentially spread out the mundane meals that you have all the time. Everybody's going to have their favorite meal that they want. Cassie loves spaghetti, and Raven loves salad, but having it more than once a week or more than once every other week can get very mundane. So make you a schedule. And you can even go one step further. Write down all your meals that you want, or that you have made, or that you think you might want. Write them all down on index cards or a piece of paper or something. That way you have a list of all the stuff you can pick from. And then when you go and make a menu, you can go through your list, or you can go through your index cards or whatever, or if you do it on a computer, make a spreadsheet or something on your computer and say, okay, well, these are the stuff that I have to pick from. So let's have this here and then this here, and you can go, and it's easier than saying, what are we going to have? When do we have this last, or when do we have that last, or whatever. Also with doing meal prep, you can include your kids or your family with the planning of it. Pick out some things that you're gonna make and leave 1 or 2 days a week for them to choose. Or if you have 3 kids, have each of them pick one day. And it not only helps you to take the stress off of you of planning, but then it also gives them both the meal that they want, and also the sense of control of what they eat, or it adds to their sense of family and that they're a part of it. Remember to always do one thing at a time. Oftentimes we find that whenever we're doing something, we will do a little bit here, and then we'll go, take something to another room or something and see something that needs to be done there, and we'll do that for a little bit rather than going back to the first thing. Always try to do one thing at a time. Like, say for example, you're cleaning your house. Pick one room and do it all. Do it top to bottom, get it all done, everything put away before you move on to the next room. And then when you get to the next room, if you find something that goes into the first room, go over there, put it up directly, and go back to where you were. That way you're not all over the house, and you don't have a ton of unfinished projects, but a bunch of smaller completed projects. And while you're doing this, don't just tackle the biggest thing first, or don't just tackle an entire room first. Start small. Start with, say, doing the laundry and getting everything picked up and put up, or pick up a pile of shoes, or the toys, or something like that. Start small. That way, again, just like with your to-do list, you get that sense of accomplishment of doing one thing and completing it, and you get the motivation to continue to go because you've got something done. Next up is make a budget. Making a budget can really take the stress off your life when it comes to finances. You have that unexpected bill. If you have something in your budget to save money, then you have money set back for that bill that was unexpected. If you have a certain amount for food, and you have a certain amount for bills, and you have a certain amount for clothing and stuff like that, you're going to have an easier time trying to figure out what bills are paid, what bills are not, how much money I have left, how much I can spend on this. Maybe, do I have enough money to go out to eat? Or do I have enough for this toy for my kids? If you have a budget and you stick to the budget, which is the very most important part, then you have those things set back, you have extra money set back, your bills are all being paid on time. Before I got married, that was probably my biggest problem, was money. Making sure the bills got paid on time, making sure that I didn't overspend. But once my wife and I got together and she took over the budget, she made it to where I wasn't missing the bills. I wasn't getting late payments for my electric bill or whatever. It wasn't almost getting cut off, or the water was paid on time, and I had plenty of food in my house. She took the chaos that I had of financing and made it into this streamlined world that I can only fathom sometimes, and has really done wonders for our budget and our family, and making sure that things are paid, and that I get if I ask for something, typically it's going to be a yes if at all possible. I don't ask for a whole lot, but when I do, typically it's a yes. So my wife is a awesome woman, and she does an awesome job taking care of our house and our finances. Remember that you're not alone. Find a support system, whether that's friends or family or a physician or a pastor or church family, whatever that is. Find somebody that you can talk to and that will listen to you and can potentially give you advice. But it doesn't even have to be somebody that can help you as far as getting something done or fixing the problem. Maybe it just needs to be somebody that you can tell your troubles to, and they'll just listen. They'll be that shoulder to cry on when something doesn't go your way, or they'll listen to the troubles that you're having and not judge you. And they'll be there when you need them. And like I said, it doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter if it's your best friend, your parents, your pastor at church, your doctor, whoever it is. Find somebody that you can talk to and reach out to them if you have a problem. And if you don't have anybody like that, feel free to email us. We'll be more than happy to listen to what you have going on and offer advice if you ask for it, or if you need it. We're here. We do it quite a bit to people that have questions, and we do our best to answer them. We're not perfect. We don't have the degrees and stuff like that, but we will give you an answer, if at all possible, of what we would do in that situation. So please feel free to reach out to us. I'll put a link to our email in the description below, and shoot us an email, and we'll, like I said, we'll be glad to listen and help if at all possible. And last, and probably the most important thing to remember on bouncing back from a life setback, is to remember self-care. Always remember to take care of yourself no matter what. You're not going to be any good to anybody else if you're not taking care of yourself. It's like when you're on an airplane and the stewardess are going through the pre-flight list, saying this is how you buckle and this is how you put on the oxygen mask and stuff like that. The one thing that, as a parent, during that whole spiel, is they say put the mask on yourself and then put the mask on the child next to you. As a parent, or even as a caring adult, if you see a child next to you, your first instinct is to go and put the mask on them first, because maybe they're more helpless, I guess maybe you could say, or they can't reach it or whatever. Your first instinct is to go to them and take care of them first, and then take care of yourself. But in that instance, and in a lot of instances, if you're not taking care of yourself first and then taking care of them, both of you might perish. Both of you might get hurt. So always remember self-care. Self-care is something that very strongly, I feel, needs to be done. If you're depressed, if you're going through something and your kids are needing something, you potentially could be short with them. You know, if you're going through depression, they're going to know it. They're going to know that you're not spending the quality time with them that they need. They're going to ask you for things and you're not going to be able to provide it for them because you are not taking care of yourself. So make sure that you take care of yourself so you can take care of them. So I hope that you found this short video to your liking. I hope that you come away with something from it, and I hope that you take care of yourself and get you the support that you need. Figure out what needs to be done. Do things one at a time. Get things accomplished and checked off your list, and move on with your day. And just remember, everybody goes through it. Everybody is going to have a setback in their life, even if it's just a small one. Everybody is going to have a setback. It's okay. You will make it through. You will move on, and you'll be better. You'll be better off afterwards. You'll have that experience under your belt, and you'll be able to have it not affect you as much the next time if something happens. So thank you very much for watching. Like I said, we hope that you enjoyed this video. My co-host is out today. She's a little under the weather, so this is a setback for me in my life. So thank you again for watching. Please like the video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell icon so you get notifications on when we publish a new video. In the meantime, check out these 2 videos over here. And until we talk to you later, happy parenting.